Welcome to my channel, Crafts by KMW. So happy that you are watching today, and I hope you will enjoy this video. So today I have a blending video for you. I've noticed on Facebook, on the various coloring groups I'm in, a lot of people have been asking about how to blend, how to get seamless transitions from one color to another. So I thought I would make a video to show you how I do it. And I emphasize the word I. There are lots and lots of colorists that have made videos out there, artists that have made videos on blending colors. And so there's no one way to do it. I'm just showing you how I do it. I think this is a very simple way to do it, and is easy to learn. And then once you start feeling comfortable, you can go ahead and start branching out and sort of developing your own process and your own ways to blend that you feel comfortable with. But I know I got started in a similar way. I watched several videos and I found one that was really easy for me to understand, and I started with that, and then I kind of branched out to where I am now. So I am going to use my new Kalour Macaron pastel colored pencils to show you this. I have not colored with them yet other than to swatch, so I'm excited to use these. And I have this lovely page that I printed out from one of Hannah Carlson's books. I just enlarged it to fit on 11 by 14 paper. When I print out coloring pages, I usually print them out on 11 by 14 paper, just to give me something a little bit different rather than just regular size paper, because most of my coloring books are regular size, 8.5 by 11 or 10 by 10. So it just gives me something a little bit different and allows me to practice coloring very large areas. And so this is printed on colored pencil paper. So I usually print on either mixed media or colored pencil paper. This paper has a little bit of tooth. It's pretty thick. It's nice quality. I believe I got this paper from Michaels. They have their own line, which is called Artist Loft. You can buy it online from Michaels.com if you don't have access to a Michaels store. And you can buy it, I believe, in different sets, like different page counts, so 25, 50. So this is from a 50 pad. And I really like it. It's really nice paper. So I wanted to show you this technique on good quality paper. I know that not all coloring books are high quality, but and you may have to adjust your process depending on what color or what paper you're using. But I wanted to show you at least my technique with some good paper. So I'm going to start with the skin. And I'm just going to do a little section of the skin. So I'm going to do this section right here. So this also shows you a little bit how I actually color skin tone. So I am going to be using the colors Ivory. Again, this is from my Kalour set. And hold on, I'm just pulling them out. I probably should have done that before I started. And Shell Pink cork. So I am doing 3 colors. I chose these randomly. I want her skin tone to be fairly light. And so I chose the ivory first. It's the base shade that I'm going to use. And this is the swatch. And so this is the ivory here. So it's a very nice light skin tone color. And then I chose the shell pink as the mid-tone. And then I chose cork for the darkest color for the shadows and the darkest parts of the skin. So I usually don't use color palettes or the color wheel or anything to choose my colors. I choose what looks good to me and what I like. Usually like to blend similar tones. Now, sometimes I will blend 2 very darker shades, and I will show you that in here. Sometimes it's not absolutely necessary to have an intermediate color, and you still can blend 2 colors that are opposite, a darker color and a lighter color. It just won't look the same as when you're blending several closer tones, but it still is blending and it still can be done, and I'm going to show you that in this video as well. So I'm going to start with my lightest color because that's the color that I want the skin to be. And this goes for whatever shape you're doing. If I was coloring one of the flowers, I would do this the exact same way. So I am going to lay down a layer of color. Now, I'm not being totally picky with this. I'm just laying down a color. This is the first of several layers that's going to go down. So I'm obviously not going to cover all of the white in the paper with this layer. Okay, so that is my first layer. And now I'm going to go back and do one more. And I'm going to go a different direction. So I went kind of up and down that first layer. So now I am going, I guess you could say diagonally or slanted for this second layer. That just helps, again, to start to fill in more of the white space of your paper. Around the edges where it meets other items, I go back over that a little bit. All right, so now I'm going to work with my darkest tone. So on this shape, I want the darkest areas to be around the outside. So here, like shadow where it is behind, to show that it's behind this part of her arm or her other arm. And then here on the edges where it would be a little darker. Here where it meets the flower and the stem, again, it'll be a little darker there because there'd be some shadows. So I am going to lightly color in those areas. As you can see, I color mostly with sort of a round or oblong style. I kind of go around in little circles. I find that it helps to help you make sure that you're not laying down the color too dark in any one place. Color is really easy to add. It's more difficult to take away. Yes, you can erase, but you're never going to erase any color completely. The paper is going to absorb some of the pigment, no matter how much you erase or how hard you erase or what quality your eraser is. So now I've laid down that first layer. So now I'm going to go back and do a second. Now I'm going to take my medium color, which is my shell pink, and I'm going to color right up against that darker color, and I'm going to make a band of the shell pink. I'm not completely covering the base color, and I'm also overlapping a little bit the edge between this color, the shell pink, and my cork, my darkest color that I already used. And again, I'm going in a circular motion, back and forth. Okay. So now that's one layer, and now I'm just going to come back and add a little bit more. The key with blending is to take your next color and layer it over the edge of the color you've already put down, whether it's a darker color or a lighter color. Usually you go dark to light, but you don't always have to. And in some applications, depending on what you're coloring, you might need to go the opposite way. You just want to overlap. So now I am going to go back in with all three of my colors and do another layer. So my ivory is going to go back in this center. I'm going to press a little harder now. You want more of the pigment down. As you can see, I'm going back and forth over it. I'm overlapping what I did with the shell pink. Now I'm going to take my darkest color in my cork and go back over that. And now I'm going to take my medium color, the shell pink, and go back over that. Again. Oh, sorry about that. I have a speaker on for my music, and if you don't play it for a while, it disconnects itself. So now I'm going again back over where I already added the cork and adding more shell pink. All right, so now I am blending with a blender pencil. I am using a Prismacolor Colorless Blender. It is PC 1077. If you saw my my countdown of my favorite art supplies, this is pretty high up on the countdown, this colorless blender. I love them. Most pencil brands make a colorless blender. You can use whatever brand colorless blender with the same brand colored pencils. That's probably recommended, but you don't have to. The Prismacolor one is just I think, the best one out there. And so I would use it no matter what color pencils I'm using, wax-based colored pencils I'm using. I also use this one with oil-based. They do make oil-based colorless blenders, which I think you should use with your oil-based pencils, but the Prismacolor works great with any pencil. So I have it nice and sharp. So I am going to start blending out these colors. So I'm coloring over what I've already done with the colorless blender. So I'm starting from the back, or from the edges, and moving out. And then I'm just going to go through the center. I only have one color in the center right now. And I'm just going to go over this again. And then I'm just going to go across to blend all the colors, all three colors that I've used together. Now I'm going to go back and add more color and more definition. So the edges of the skin would definitely be a little bit darker. So I'm going to add more of my darkest color, which is the cork, to the edges. Now at this point, I'm not able to lay down as much color as I was before. The paper is starting to get saturated. The tooth is probably getting a little bit flattened, which is fine, because you don't want to over put color down. And now I'm actually going to take another color, trying to just make sure that it is the right, it's the right shade. I don't want to pick the wrong one. Let me see. Hold on one second, still looking. Okay, I found it. Okay, so I'm gonna take Ash Rose, which is this one here. So it's a little bit darker than the cork. And I'm going to come in along the very edges to just add a little bit of darkness. A little bit more definition. Now, if you wanted to, you could also, or instead, add some gray here along where this shape meets the rest of the skin and the flower, to show some shading, to show shadows. But I'm not going to do that on this one. Okay, so I've layered over a little bit of a darker color. So now I'm going to add another layer of my shell pink. Again, I'm going over what I already colored with the cork, which is the darkest color. And I did go a little bit outside the line here. I will either erase that, clean it up, or I'll just go over it with whatever the background color is. And then I'm going to go over the center with my lightest color again. Again, going over what I colored with the shell pink. And there I have my completed section of arm. Now might want to come in with a white pencil. And I think actually I'm going to do that. Sorry, I just had to go get my white pencil. I can't believe I forgot my white pencil. And I'm just gonna add some white to this top part here where there might be a little more light hitting. It's very, very subtle. You can actually see it better live and in person than you can on the video, but there is a little bit of white. And then I'm going to add a little center of white in the center just to give a little more highlight to that. Some people will use gel pen to add a little bit of white. I will do that on certain things. I wouldn't do it on skin, but... And there is my completed blended section of her arm. So now let's do a flower. So let me see. I think this flower might be a good one. I'm actually going to turn this upside down so I don't have the page hanging off my my table. So I'm just gonna just move this back a little bit for you. Okay, so I'm gonna do this flower here. I'm not gonna worry about the center. I'm just gonna do the petals. So I think I would like this flower to be shades of purple. So from my Kalour set, I am choosing 3 colors, 3 shades. Okay. Sorry, these are a little bit hard to get out of the tray. Okay. And then I'm going to do this one. Okay, so I have chosen Sakura. Yep, Sakura. And I'll show you what these look like on the chart. So this is Sakura. So it's a pink. And then I've chosen Lilac, which is this one here. And this is what the lilac looks like over here. And then as my darkest color, I've chosen a magenta. And this is the magenta. Actually, I'm going to change that out. Okay, I'm not going to use the magenta. I am going to go for the wisteria. All right, so just give me a second while I locate the wisteria in my set. Okay, got it. Yes. All right, so I'm using this color instead. And here it is here. It's actually a purple, whereas the other one was more pink. All right, so I'm going to basically be using the same technique that I used to color the arm. So I'm going to use the lightest color, which I think is the lilac. And I'm going to do an all over color. Now you can leave out a section, in other words, not color part of your object if you want to add a little bit of white. So you can do that. And especially if you have a colored pencil set where the white is not so great and it doesn't go over other colors very well, Prismacolor probably has the best white I've ever seen. I don't have like the Caran d'Ache luminance or anything, so I don't know how that white works, but the Prismacolor white pretty much colors over everything. So if you do color something and then you want to add some white, you can usually do it. So I'm going to do it that way. So I'm going to lay down an all over color of the lilac. And again, as you can see, I am doing that circular coloring motion. Okay, as you can see, it did not fill in all of the white space of the paper. So now I'm going to add a second layer, and I'm just going in a different direction than I went the first time. That is not a rule. I just find that it's just one other way that helps to fill in more of the white space of the paper. It just helps to get some of those areas that you might have missed. Now I'm going to take my medium shade, which is the Sakura, which is more of the pinky shade. And I am going to add a little bit up at the top. That's how I like to do flower petals. And I'm just going to drag it down the sides a little bit. And then I'm going to add some at the bottom. And this one has some lines, so I'm going to add some of this Sakura with the lines that are already drawn here by Hannah Carlson. And now I'm going to add my darkest color. So on this petal, I'm going to put darkest color around the edges. Now this is a pretty small area, so I'm not having to work as hard or do as many layers to get the color that I want. Again, it really matters how big the area is you're coloring. On that arm part, that was much larger, so I did have to put down a few more layers. And now I'm going to add a little bit of the darker color right here on the bottom, on the edge. I'm going over the color, the Sakura that I already added in. And now I'm going to add a little bit underneath the Sakura that I already added. Now, I don't always color petals this way. This is just one way that I'm choosing to color this petal. I want to give it a little bit of depth in the center, so I'm going to leave that area a little bit lighter. So that's why I'm coloring sort of the edges. So now I'm going to come back in and before I blend and add one more layer of everything. So I'm using my lilac and I'm going over the middle layer, the middle area right there. Now I'm going over with my Sakura. Now you could definitely use, again, my color choices might be different than yours. If you don't want to have, you wouldn't want to have any pink areas in the flower petal, then you could just choose 3 shades of purple or 3 shades of pink or whatever you are doing. And now I'm gonna do my darkest shade. You always want to go over, so I already had some pink there, so I'm going over it with the purple. Same thing here. Going over it with, going over the Sakura with the pinkish shade with the purple. Okay. Now I'm going to take my blender pencil and I'm going to blend. So again, I start at the edges and I come in and bring it down. And then heading into the middle. So really at this point, you shouldn't see too much of the white of the paper anymore. Again, I'm using circular motion, and now I'm just going all over the petal, blending those three colors together. Now I'm going to come back with each color and add more definition and more color. So here along the edge of this petal, I want it to be a little bit darker. I could come in with a even darker color if I wanted to. I'm not going to do that at this point. And I'm just going to add more purple down here on the bottom. And then in this area right here. And then I'm going to add more pink. And a little bit of that light lilac. Now you could use the blender pencil again. I'm not going to do that. And now I'm going to add some white over the top in the center. The white also helps to blend. Many people blend with a white pencil. And then I'm just going to add more of that darker purple along the edges. And some more pink. And there is my finished petal. And then I would go on and I would do all of the petals the exact same way. Actually, before I start, I'm gonna just accent these darker lines a little bit more. Now, by the time you get to this point, you will find that it's really hard to add more color. The paper's starting to get saturated, and you really can't add too much more. So now I'm going to show you blending with two shades that are not really close in tone. So again, I'm using my Kalour pastel pencils, and I chose 2 shades of green for a leaf. So the first one I chose is the cobalt green, and then the second one I chose is the lettuce green. And let me show you on the chart. So here is the cobalt and here is the lettuce. So you can see that they are pretty far away as far as tone. One is definitely darker than the other one. One is very light. So I want to show you blending these 2 colors. To me, blending is not always having tones that are very similar. I think you can go from a darker to a lighter. And we see this in nature all the time. Like there is this one really beautiful moth that has reds and grays and blacks and browns, and you can see where the colors change. You can see where it goes from gray to red, or where it goes from brown to gray. It's not all seamlessly blended. So you know, it doesn't, you know, they don't merge into one another perfectly. There are definitely lines, but the way you do it, you can still blend it and make it seem more seamless. So that's what I'm going to show you now. So I'm going to do this leaf here. So as I did before, I'm going to start with my lighter color, which is my lettuce green. And I'm going to do an all over layer of the lettuce. Okay, and now I'm going to come back and do a second layer, going a different direction. This leaf is pretty small, so it's not taking much to cover it. So now I'm going to add in my cobalt green, which is my darker green. So I'm going to do that around the edges. I'm going to do that at the bottom where the leaf meets the skin. And I'm going to add some of that cobalt next to this line here. Okay. Now, because this leaf is so small and I'm only using 2 colors, I'm not really going to add too much more in. I'm just going to do another quick layer of the lettuce. And as you can see, I'm going right over what I colored with the darker color. And now I'm going to go back over the darkest areas with my darker green. Okay. And now I'm going to take my blender pencil and just go over the entire leaf. Okay, it doesn't really take much. It's pretty small. And as you may notice, it did lighten it a little bit. So I'm going to, of course, add more color. So I'm going to add more of my cobalt back in where I want it. And now I think I'm going to add another green. So this is leaf green. And on the swatch chart, that's what it looks like. So it's a little bit of a different shade. And I'm just going to add a little bit of the leaf green along the edge where the leaf meets her skin or is behind her skin. A little bit on the edges, a little bit on the center. Okay. And I am done with that leaf. So as you can see, it looks blended, but you can really see more of the colors because they are pretty different shades. They're not all really close together. So this is just a little bit of a different type of blending. And I think this type of blending works really well on leaves, on flowers, where you want each color to show up a little bit more, to be a star on its own, so to speak. So it's a really nice technique to use for nature elements because you can really see each of the colors stand out on their own pretty well. So that is blending two very different shades. So that is my little blending lesson. So again, here is the arm, part of the arm that we did, and then here is the petal that we did. Now I might add a little bit of white gel pen in there to give it even a little bit more lightness in the center. I might come in with an even darker purple or even a darker blue. For example, this is the ultramarine, and I could just add little hints of blue around the edges to even make the colors pop and stand out even more. And as you can see, I'm not being exact, I'm just adding color. So, and that just made things pop a little bit more. So that's how I blend colored pencils. I would love to hear in the comments if you found this video helpful, or if you have any questions. I would love to answer them. Thank you so much for watching. Good luck with your blending efforts and with your coloring. And I hope you get to spend lots and lots of time coloring today and in the future. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.